So that OGL thing certainly happened. In case you aren't aware, Wizards of the Coast tried to change the open game license, which would have screwed over a lot of third-party content creators. Due to the giant backlash, they thankfully dropped the idea by now, but still lots of D&D content creators are jumping ship and look into other systems. Now, what does this mean for my content? Well, I certainly got a bit disillusioned and I might try something new somewhere down the line. But I wrote the script for Karna back in December, when it was more relevant because of the Christmas event going on. And I don't want to waste it, so I decided to finish this video regardless. Will I do Pathfinder builds in the future? Maybe. I'm currently in the process of learning Pathfinder. I'm not that familiar with the system yet though. I also would maybe like to do a video on Sign, another tabletop RPG, where you play as demigods, which I think actually works rather well with Fate, but I'm not sure how well that sort of video would do. There's also the fact that all my ongoing campaigns are D&D, so for the time being D&D is the system I'm playing, since I don't want to cancel everything just because Wizards of the Coast did a bad thing. Anyway, enjoy this video on the hero of charity who certainly wouldn't try to invoke the open game license. So, what do we need to build Karna? Well, first of all, he's a demigod, the son of a sun god to be precise. Essentially he's using a lot of fire and light attacks. Powerful enough that you can nuke an army. He's also very good with, well, not sure if you can really consider that thing a spear, but they call it a spear. Well, to be more effective in D&D terms, I would recommend picking a glaive to represent it. Besides that, he has armor integrated into his body that reduces any damage he takes by 90%. Yeah, that's how it works. It seems to make him invulnerable to most attacks similar to Siegfried's armor of Fafnir, Achilles' Blessing or Heracles' God Hand, but it actually reduces any damage he takes to the point that it is neglectable. I'm just gonna be straightforward here and just tell you that we can't exactly do anything like that in a practical manner. The closest thing would maybe be the invulnerability spell, or maybe Stone Skin, but we won't go out of our way to grab those. However, if we include magic items, an armor of invulnerability comes pretty close to what we are going for, or if you want to lean into the fact that the armor is integrated into his body, I would suggest a large barrier tattoo. Putting magic items aside, I would just make sure that you can wear heavy armor. So, first we have to assign some stats using the standard array. We put 15 points into Wisdom, and given that you tend to roll Wisdom for checks that require willpower in D&D, it only makes sense. 14 points go into Strength. Just look at that spear. Do you think you could wield it with less? 30 points go into Charisma. Karna is not a very social type, but he is one of Chaldea's pretty boys, so I think it counts. 12 points go into Constitution. Yeah, you would think it would be higher for an almost invulnerable frontliner, but no actually, his endurance rank is actually just C, so I think putting 12 points into it is appropriate enough. 10 points go into Intelligence. Karna is neither particularly clever or stupid, I would say, so I think a 10 fits perfectly. And we dump Dexterity for 8 points. Why? Look, this probably should be higher, but honestly, I didn't want to dump Intelligence again, and we don't really need Dex for this build. I would still be wary of Dexterity saving throws though. As far as your race is concerned, well, Karna is the son of a god, so I think the only logical choice is Azima, particularly since it comes with an anime super mode that we need to make this build feel authentic. For the meta, we are using the Azima from Mordekainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. But you can also use the Protector Azima from Volo's Guide to Monster. First of all, you get to freely pick which attributes you want to boost with your racial modifier, so we boost your strength by 2 and your wisdom by 1, to make sure that you have an even 16 in both of them. Next, as an Azima, you have resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. Dark Vision, you can heal people once per day for free, knows Light Cantrip, and you can pick one of 3 Celestial Revelations at level 3. Essentially, those are the transformations that you previously got from being either a Scourge, Protector or Fallen Azima, but they work slightly differently. We are taking Radiant Soul, which is the transformation of a Protector Azima. This transformation gives you wings to fly, and once per turn, when you deal damage to a creature with an attack or spell, you can add your proficiency bonus at top of that. Now, this is often perceived as a nerf to Azima, but is it really? Because they actually buffed this ability in one important aspect. Previously you needed a full action to activate your Radiant Soul, but now it only takes a bonus action. So yeah, you don't waste a complete turn anymore when you want to transform and can benefit from it right away, which is often more important than some extra damage. In addition to that, the old Azima only gave you a flat flying speed of 30, while the reprint makes it so that your flying speed is equal to your walking speed, which doesn't really affect this build all that much, but could make a difference for others. So yeah, while the reduced damage sucks a bit, I think it evens out. When it comes to your background, there are a few options. For example, he could be a noble, but his general attitude matches that of a soldier. As such, you get proficiency in athletics and intimidation. Now we can move on to your class. We start things off as a paladin, such as you gain proficiency with light, medium and heavy armor, shields, simple and martial weapons. For your skill proficiency, I would recommend Insight and Religion. I mean, I would usually recommend Persuasion, but Karna is not the most persuasive guy. Insight, however, is a perfect fit, since he has a skill that lets him detect lies. Besides that, you get Divine Sense to detect your enemies and Lay on Hands to heal yourself and others when needed. At level 2 you get to pick a fighting style. Since we are all about that invincible armor, we are picking the defense style to boost your AC by 1. More importantly, you get Divine Smite and some nifty spells to boot. I won't go over all paladin spells, but Searing Smite and Shield of Faith suits you rather well. In particular the latter, as it allows you to boost your AC even further. And I think given Karna's personality, Oath of Devotion is by far the best pick. You also gain a couple of Channel Divinity options. Sacred Weapon is usually pretty good, but given that your charisma is not that high, it is a bit underwhelming. But still, it's a magic weapon on demand, so that's nothing to scoff at. Turn the Unholy keeps undead and fiends at bay, and Harness Divine Power allows you to recover some of your spell slots when needed. Besides that, you also gain protection from evil and good, and Sanctuary as your elf spells, which could come in handy. Once you hit level 4, you get an ability score improvement, however we are taking the Heavy Armor Master feat instead, which boosts your strength to 17 and reduces any non-magical bludgeoning, piercing and slashing damage by 3. It's not perfect, but it does a decent enough job imitating the damage reduction property of Karna's armor. Once you hit level 5, you get extra attack, which is actually the main reason why we are still here. But while we are at it, you might as well prepare Branding Smite. You also gain Lesser Restoration and Zone of Truth as your oath spells. In particular, the latter is fitting given your Descendant of the Poor skill, which allows you to easily see through any lie. Now with your 6th level, we get to the main event. As a son of a sun god, I can't think of any class more fitting for Karna than a Light Domain Cleric. Right off the bat, this gives you Burning Hand and Fairy Fire as your domain spells. We don't quite care that much about the cantrips and other level 1 spells you get access to, except maybe Sacred Flame, and I suppose you can't go wrong with preparing Blast and Healing Word. Maybe not the most fitting spells for the character, but they are just really good spells to have. Other than that, prepare whatever you want. In addition to that, you also gain Warning Flame, which allows you to use your reaction to blind your enemy to impose disadvantage on an attack roll, which makes your already impressive armor just a tad more effective. At level 2 you get more Channel Divinity options like Turn Undead and Radiance of the Dawn, a nice AoE option to burn away weaker enemies with Radiant Flames and Dispelling Magical Darkness. When you hit level 3 in Clerics, you gain Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray for more ranged options. Other than that, prepare some level 2 spells of your choice. You have plenty of good options. I would maybe recommend 8 to boost your HP a bit. Once you hit level 4 in Cleric, you gain another ability score improvement. We use this one to increase your strength to 18 and your charisma to 14 to make your paladin abilities a bit more effective. Once you hit level 5, you can now destroy undead with your Turn Undead feature, which is always fun to use. Thanks to your domain, you also get Daylight and Fireball. So yeah, throw fireballs. What more do you want? Again, prepare whatever level 3 cleric spells you feel like. They all work rather well to make you an even more formidable foe or a great support for your party. Once you hit level 6, you get Improved Flare. Nothing too special, it only lets you use your Improved Flare feature when other people are attacked, and you can also now use Channel Divinity twice between rest, which is nice. With your 7th level in Cleric, you gain Guardian of Faith and Wall of Fire as your domain spells. Other than that, I would recommend preparing Death Ward. Karna doesn't actually have a gut skill, but he probably has enough willpower to survive an attack that should have killed him to finish off his opponent. It's the anime thing to do. With your 8th level in Cleric, you gain another ability score improvement. You use that to increase your wisdom to 18 to make you a better spellcaster. In addition to that, you would also get potent spellcasting, which would allow you to add your wisdom mod to damage dealt by your cleric cantrips. However, we rather replace this feature with Blessed Strike, an optional feature from Tasha every level 8 cleric can take. This instead allows you to add 1d8 of radiant damage to the damage dealt by one of your cantrips or one of your weapon attacks. Which, given that you probably prefer to hit people with your oversized spear, is probably more relevant to you. At level 9 in Cleric you gain access to 5th level spells. Scrying and more importantly Flame Strike serve as your domain spells. Besides that, you can also prepare Dawn, which gives you Sunlight on demand. Holy Weapon is a very good pick to boost your damage output in melee combat, and Legend Roar is perfect to make use of the knowledge granted to you by the Throne of Heroes. With your 10th level in Cleric, you can ask your extended family for help, but it's not exactly the most reliable strategy. Once you hit level 11, you Destroy Undead becomes a bit more potent, though CR2 Undead shouldn't be too much of a challenge to you at this point anyway. You also get access to level 6 spells, and Summon is probably the most fitting for you. It does some decent damage and allows you to blind your enemies, and you also emit Sunlight, making you the bane of any vampire. Might come in handy in the unlikely case that you're fighting literally Dracula. Your 12th level in Cleric comes with another ability skill improvement, and while you could use it to max out one of your stats, I would recommend to pick Warcast instead. Given that you have a lot of spells that require concentration, you probably want to have advantage on any concentration saves. After that you get level 7 spells with your 13th level in Cleric, giving you access to Firestorm, which was probably the closest thing we are getting to Vasavi Shakti, given that it covers a massive area of 10 10-foot cubes that you can arrange in any way you wish, giving you access to a rather appropriate anti-army attack. Level 14 is admittedly a bit underwhelming, no new spells, only your Destroy Undead becomes a bit more powerful. And finally we cap things off at level 15 in Cleric, giving you access to level 8 spells, the most appropriate of which would be Sunburst, allowing you to deal some decent damage all while blinding your opponent. So, how good is this build? I'd say it's appropriately powerful. You get the destructive power of a wizard combined with all the support and healing capabilities of a cleric. And I barely even discussed how good some of those spells are. And your melee combat capabilities are not that far behind either, in particular since you have plenty of spell slots to use for smites and you have a decently high AC with inbuilt damage reduction. Now, I was a bit on the fence if I should go for 15 levels in Cleric to get level 8 spells, or level 6 in Paladin to get Aura of Protection to boost your saving throws. If you're rolling up stats and you end up with a higher Charisma score, I would probably go with that. In either case, you can pretty much fill any role in combat and do a good job at that. But what about you? Would you build Karna definitely? What servant do you want me to build next? I am Tricky Fox. Stay foxy.
Sly as a fox, you got me under your spell. But you know I'll never tell that I know you know so well.